When you watch boxing, you learn really quick that nothing is official until it's actually said and done. But when I saw this post from Ring Magazine, I knew that it was official. I knew that we were going to see Teofimo Lopez versus Shakur Stevenson on the date that they were saying. That's it. The contracts are signed. It's over with. Great fight. This is the type of fight that everybody wants to see. When everybody's criticizing boxing, when everybody's saying that boxing is missing out and they're losing fans and the sport is shrinking, these are the type of fights that everybody knows will bring it back when you have the best fighting the best. So my hat's off to both men. Obviously, one man is going to have to leave this one with a loss on his record. Nobody wants to see that. Challenge for both men. Each one has to come out here and put it on the line. Now, that being said, I'm surprised that Shakur Stevenson is such a favorite. Minus 350 coming into this one. 3.5 to 1 odds as a favorite. And that's huge considering he's moving up in weight and fighting the champion, Teofimo Lopez. But I understand where people are coming from. It makes a lot of sense when you really sit down and think about it. Shakur Stevenson is a master technician. Beautiful jab, beautiful defense. Always cognizant of where he is in the ring and what he's doing, trying to set his opponents up. Has every punch available to him, but doesn't need to take chances. Doesn't need to go out there and try to really put himself out there to make something happen. He's typically the taller guy, typically the longer guy, has this great timing and IQ, everything that you want in a fighter. Everything. I mean, look, if you're a fan first type fighter, if you want to go in there and you want to see some action, then I understand why you would want to see something a little more from him. You think this guy is so talented, why doesn't he punch a little bit more? This guy is so talented, why doesn't he put it on his opponent? He's got the ability to walk him down from a defensive posture and put this guy away. Why don't we see him doing that? A lot of people out there give him those types of criticisms, and in that way, there's a lot of fans that aren't necessarily fans of him fighting. A lot of fans that don't necessarily want to see him fight, but that doesn't take away from the man's skill set. The man is incredibly talented. He's been left out of the conversation a little bit when they talk about the best of these young guys, and he never should have been. Never should have been with that whole Four Kings conversation. Never should have been passed over. And then we got Teofimo Lopez. Out of all of these young guys, he has got a resume. Man, it is up there. This dude, when he goes out there and he makes it happen, he is incredibly enjoyable and it's impressive to watch. And even though we talk about the skills that Shakur Stevenson possesses, think about the skills that Teofimo Lopez showed the night that he went out there and beat Lomachenko. Lomachenko, southpaw, incredibly talented. Lopez went out there, definitively won that fight, and arguably hurt Lomachenko late in that fight. He went out there and he did it. And the thing about Lopez is, the man is very talented himself, but sometimes it's his athletic gifts, what he was just born with, that kind of shines a little bit more and stands out. And in some ways, it takes away from the skill set that he has just when you're watching. You think, oh, that was so incredibly fast. You know what I mean? That you overlook the fact that he needed the timing, or you overlook the fact of the way that he set it up. He's got those twitchy, fast muscles. And I think that Lomachenko fight is the best one that exemplifies that. Because in that fight, we saw a guy in Loma, and who's as talented as he is, as many different styles as he's seen in the ring, and as everything that he's been able to accomplish, you know for a fact this man had to lay off the gas for what ended up being too long, but it was the whole first half of the fight. The whole first half of the fight, he had to keep his foot off of the gas pedal because he knew anything that he wanted to do was going to put him in harm's way. Anything that he wanted to do was going to be a risk because Lopez was just firing on all cylinders. He was so fast, he was so accurate, the timing, the footwork, everything was on point. That's Teofimo Lopez when he's at his best. Now look, as talented as Loma is, and as much as he brings to the table, Shakur Stevenson brings a completely, maybe not completely different, but it's a really different skill set. Okay, I just talked about how Loma moved up from 126. He's the smaller guy. He was the older guy. He needed to lay back early in that fight. The reason he had to lay back is because he couldn't take chances. The reason he couldn't take chances is because he was the smaller, older guy. Okay, makes a lot of sense. You know what? Shakur Stevenson will not be the smaller, older guy. Teofimo Lopez fights his best, typically speaking, off of his back foot. I know he pressed Loma in that fight and he went forward and he took the fight to him and everything. It's not what he's going to do against Shakur. It's not when he's at his best. He's at his best when he's off the back foot. But the thing is, Shakur is going to win at distance. So if you're Teofimo Lopez, you're best off your back foot. Sometimes you get against the ropes, you're using your lateral movement, you're timing these counter shots, and when you can get in, Shakur Stevenson's guard is so tight, man. It is so tight. He's got a multi-layer defense, and the thing is that when he's on the outside, let's say you're out of range and you're both in your stance, you're both in position. Shakur Stevenson can fire that jab out there and land with it. He can score and he can get back to his defensive position typically before guys can even respond. Typically before guys can even think about getting off a counter shot. And the thing about that is when you're both at the furthest effective range, he's going to win. He's going to win from that position. So if nothing changes, if you don't initiate any action, you're going to be the one on the losing end of it, which means that everybody has to initiate. Everybody has to do something. That's just what a guy like Shakur is waiting for. His timing, his ring IQ, his counterpunching ability, his hand speed, his footwork, his hand positioning, body positioning, everything that he does is on point. He's just waiting for somebody to have to come in and take a chance. He's waiting for somebody to get over that front foot, to commit just a little bit too much, to think that you've got him baited and in a position, but really the tricker becomes the tricks that Shakur Stevenson can pull out. He's wise beyond his ears in a lot of way inside of that ring, and it's because he's got such a good team and he's been such an astute student. He does so well with it. So Shakur Stevenson is a guy who wants to keep this fight a little bit ugly, slow it down a little bit. He doesn't want to have a crazy rounds. He wants to keep it in the middle of the ring as much as possible. You know, when Teofimo tries to get inside, maybe land a shot or two, tie him up. You got the longer arms, you got the height, lean on his back a little bit, whatever you got to do. That's the type of fight that Shakur Stevenson is going to be able to coast as much as possible. Teofimo is very dangerous, but he's going to be able to lead. He's going to be leading from the front. It's going to be his fight to lose if he makes it that type of a fight. Teofimo, on the other hand, he wants to turn this into an athletic contest as much as a boxing match. If he can get Shakur coming forward, if he can get him wrapped up in the hype of the event, thinking about the fans, thinking about how a guy like Turki Al-Sheikh doesn't want to see the running and the Tom and Jerry, and he can get him out there and try to really get him to engage in a fight, that's when Teofimo's going to shine. That's when he's going to have his ability to land those big counters that we've seen score and use to score those highlight reel knockouts, the big left hooks, the really quick right hands coming over the top. Right hand is a money punch when you're talking about going up against a southpaw. It was funny. Teofimo gives an interview. Already, he's giving an interview and he's talking about Shakur. And one of the things that he said was, hey, I sparred 3 rounds with this guy before. It was easy work for me. No problem. Look, Shakur's got a great jab, but as soon as you get past that jab, he's got nothing for me. And look, we know that's an exaggeration and we know that he's trying to hype things up. I guarantee you, Shakur's got something behind that jab. I guarantee you that if and when you get past that jab, that's not going to be the end of the tricks and the puzzles that you have for you. Shakur's got a left hand. He's used it plenty of times before. Shakur's got a right hook. He's used that plenty of times before too. So I don't think it's going to be necessarily that easy to get past the jab or to deal with what's coming past once you get past the jab. But it's an interesting way to look at things. And 3 rounds is nothing. Everybody knows that. 3 rounds of sparring is even less. So I don't really give too much credit to what Teofimo was saying there. You know, he's a showman. He tries to get out there and make things happen, build this fight up a little bit. And look, he got it. And I'm sure this is going to be a good payday. And he's the champion and it is his division. And if he can make it the type of fight that he wants, if he can somehow drag Shakur into a less technical fight, into the inside, into a point where he's following Teofimo around a little bit, not necessarily like following in the sense of not cutting off, but being aggressive, coming forward, right? Bringing the fight to Teofimo Lopez in a way in which it allows Teo to come on the back foot and really make those counter shots. If he can do that, he's going to have a chance. If he can do that, he's going to land some big shots. He's going to make it a very interesting fight. But we all know why he's the underdog. And it's because of the technical prowess that Shakur Stevenson brings to the table. But let me know, what do you guys think? Do you think Shakur's a little bit too much of a favorite here, 3.5 to 1? Do you think it's almost disrespectful to Teofimo, the man who is the champion in the division, and Shakur's moving up? Or do you think this is right on point? Do you think by Shakur Stevenson being the most technical fighter, this is really going to fall on Teo's shoulders to make something happen and really try to have to come forward, and that's when he's going to open himself up to big counters? Let me know what you guys think.